to Franklin Quaker pitcher Carson Burke.
Burke winds, pitch, swing, and a miss, and that will retire Brendan for Rainier Beach. So 1-2-3 for Franklin pitcher Carson Burke.
Carson Burke pitched a shutout, not allowing a single run in a dominating performance against the Rainier Beach Vikings. Congratulations to Carson Burke of the Franklin Quakers, this week's Rainier Avenue Radio Metro League Baseball Student Athlete of the Week.
This is Mondo Bancaro from Mondo's World. We will be discussing some interesting subjects. Sometimes I might even have some guests. So please listen to my show on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Lock in fresh juice with the newest hip-hop and R&B.
Every Wednesday night from 9 to 11 p.m.
on Rainier Avenue Radio.
You know we got the dopest artists rocking with us every single week with myself, D-Money.
Taylor Hart.
And Pint-Sized Patron. This is Fresh Juice every Wednesday. It's Trilltopia.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.World community update on Seattle Parks and Recreation summer camps. Are your kids bored in the house? Are you looking for fun activities where your child can also learn valuable life skills? Take your kids to summer camp. All children ages 5 to 12 can enjoy many enriching activities, from building Minecraft models with Legos, writing their own comic book stories, or staying active with sports and parkour. In-person and virtual summer camps are available from June 21st through August 27th, with morning and afternoon camp times. Children registered for both morning and afternoon camps also qualify for Lunch Club. Scholarships are available. Activity camps are offered at the following locations: High Point, Jefferson, Loyal Heights, and Montlake. Again, those locations are High Point, Jefferson, Loyal Heights, and Montlake. To register, call 206-684-7481 or visit seattle.gov/parks. That's 206-684-7481 to register your child for summer camp today.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not helping bad girls set up their websites, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.World.
Welcome. This is Brenda Charles-Edwards, the host of Seniors Matter. We are live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on www.rainieravenueradio.world. You can find us on Twitch, Facebook, Rainier Avenue Radio App. We are your community radio station. Seniors Matters invites a variety of guests to discuss issues and activities that may impact the lives of older adults, their families, and the community. If you're interested in knowing what is the best gift you can give yourself and your loved ones, join me on Zoom for a group or individual session on end-of-life planning. Call me at 206-683-2636. May is Older American Month. My guest is so special. His name is John Yasutake, and he's the host of Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.World also. Welcome to the show, John. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself, John?
Not bad for a Friday.
Yes, that's right. It is Friday. Thank goodness it is Friday. I'm ready for the weekend.
Yes. You've been busy.
I've been packing.
Yes. I didn't want to mention that, but you've been packing. And
I've been packing.
You know, the problem with packing is that you pack and then you have to unpack. So
I know.
That's interesting.
Yes. But you know, the one good thing about packing, especially if you've been somewhere in the same spot for 19 years, wow, you are forced to get rid of things. And Charity loves me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I saw a sign online that said Goodwill is not accepting any more donations. I mean, there are some Goodwill places that are overwhelmed because people being home are saying, let's clean out the garage. Let's clean out the closet. Let's get rid of this stuff. And that's a fact. I've heard that some Goodwill stations will say, we can't take anymore. We don't have room for it.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. They
So,
don't-
John,
Yes, ma'am.
no, go ahead. You were going to say something. I know something really important. What?
I said, and they don't have room? That's interesting.
I know.
Good. Yeah, good. Salvation Army, too. Yes.
Well, there's so many people that don't have anything.
Yes.
That it's just, it's just sad. And it just makes me feel grateful that I work now. Don't get me wrong. I've worked very hard and to get what I have, but I feel that I'm blessed to be able to be allowed to do that.
Yes.
But I have no problems with sharing, and so I am sharing now.
Well, you're a very blessed individual. You're a blessing individual, and but you go to Goodwill and you see Mercedes, BMWs, Lexuses, Acuras. They know these are rich people, middle class people. They say, my kids are young. I just go to Goodwill and buy stuff, and I hear it all the time. Upper middle class people take advantage of that. And that helps pay for it. But guess what? There are people just around the corner who are living in tents who have nothing.
Right.
And that's that. Nevertheless, you know what I'm talking about. And so, and you know, being the wife of a preacher, I'll stop preaching. So I'll.
Yeah, I hear it enough. No, just kidding. So since May is Older Americans Month.
Right.
There's so much to talk about, but I'm really concerned, as I know you are, about our senior community. And one of the things that crossed my mind, because I work with AARP and I do a number of fraud presentations. Mm-hmm. And since, there's the talk of, or I suppose it's happening, the defunding of the police, right. I think that people don't really understand how that trickles down, where that goes. And I was thinking about it and I thought, geez, what is the feeling of the senior community about defunding the police? Because my first thought was, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's be real.
Yes.
So, and we both know that the police and the local adult protective services can only do so much, and they deal with cases of elder abuse, which is a crime that affects an estimated 10% of Americans 60 and older.
Right.
So, I mean, no, we don't want to totally defund the police because we need those services. I mean, it's great that some of this money is going to go to other services too, but I saw an article that said the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services website says that if someone is in immediate life-threatening danger due to elder abuse, call the police or 911. Otherwise, if the danger is not immediate, relay your concerns to the local adult protective services, long-term care ombudsman, or the police, but you defunded them. So they're not going to be able to go with a social worker or whatever to help the situation. And they have a special department that dealt with elder fraud. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but I mean, and then Adult Protective Services also specializes in abused, neglected, or exploited older adults. And there's few members of the police department that do. So theoretically, if some money was diverted from the police to APS, it might then better assist elder abuse victims and their families. So, John, what's going on?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to this, next to the best award-winning show, my show, but anyway, Seattle Here and Now. But no, thank you again for inviting me, and thank you for the question, because having worked with the community, over the years, but also, being tied to the Central Area Senior Citizens Center, etc., and working census, I had an opportunity to really have an elongated dialogue with the senior community of all groups. And as a voice, they're saying, we do not believe in defunding the police. We need the police. And then when you look at the data and you look at the statistics, I mean, we're talking about when crimes are reported as a group, 60% would be those in the elderly group, or the advanced age group, 65 plus, or 60 to 65 plus. Whereas when you compare it to other age groups, they're only reporting it about 38% of the time. And that 60% or 56% or so just represents what's being reported. In other words, if a crime gets reported, it's going to be probably more likely a senior person that reports that crime, not a young person. And then when you look at the numbers, I was reading the numbers of national stats, 60% of the elderly victims are victimized near home. And that would include those that are victimized in the home, domestic violence being just mushroomed because of the pandemic. Everyone's locked down. We talked about that. I've had mental health people, and so have you. It's just exacerbated that. If things were not good at home before the pandemic, being locked down 24/7,
Right.
creates all kinds of things. And the other one, and again here, 1 in 10 persons that we know of are going to be victimized, and that's in that group 65 plus. So 1 in 10. That represents 1 in 10 represents over what, 33 million people? That's a lot of folks. And then again, the population is growing. 15% of the US population are persons 65 and older. We're not even going down to 60 or the 50s or 55. We're taking just 65 and up, 15%. Now that has an increase, and it's continued to increase based on what the demographics say as people live longer, and that's a fact. So,
but John, a lot of the seniors don't even report the abuse.
Right. That's exactly the point. And then when you talk about certain groups, the persons most likely to be attacked in this, you see Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month was celebrated. We talked about I'm part of several groups dealing with anti-Asian hate. The persons most likely to be victimized are women, Asian women, but that group is expanded to include elderly. You've seen the videos.
Yes.
You've seen these are older persons of Asian descent being attacked. And it's the same hue and cry. Don't defund the police. It doesn't make any sense. We become victims because we're vulnerable.
Right.
We are the most vulnerable population. Victimization occurs near home. Why? Because elders, now I don't excuse the term elders. Our seniors don't leave home. They travel very judiciously. They'll take public transit, but during the day. And one of the issues that's come across in the Asian community, as maybe other communities as well, is that they don't use checkbooks or credit cards. They carry cash. So again, that just heightens it. And I think that also occurs in other groups, that the seniors carry cash because they don't credit cards, debit cards, they have to remember passwords and all that. They don't do that. And if they're by themselves, and a lot of times they are, they are likely victims, because, I just saw a video where Asian woman was taking the receipts for the day's business, and it was around $50,000. Her purse got snatched. She was, $50,000. That's a lot of money. But again, that is what's going on. And not just, again, it's unfortunate, but seniors represent a vulnerable population, and people who do that they're cowards. Hey,
But John, did you see the video of the lady, the Asian lady in New York, when the guy tried to, I don't know if he was trying to mug her or what, she beat his behind. I was cracking up. I said, "Go on, lady, go on, get him."
And they called the aid car for him.
I know. He was laying on the gurney. It was too funny.
And you can see the police officers and the thing just laughed. They were smiling behind his back. Yeah, she got blood. I think she got a cut over her nose, but man, she did it to him.
Hey,
so
got it.
So your question is very pertinent. Your question is very, for the times. For this time, we have to get to a better understanding of how to work with police departments and the singular. And this is what's so interesting about it. This is one monologue: defund the police, defund the police. That's not the answer to me.
No, me either.
Yeah, it's just we need to get better police officers. In other words, we got to look at who we're hiring.
Hey,
That's
that's a good start.
Number one. Number two, like I said, we got to screen out those that are there that don't carry the badge with honor and that kind of thing. But again, every senior organization I've been involved with, and the same ones. As a matter of fact, we made a presentation at one of the groups. They will not go with defunding the police. We need the police to protect us.
Right.
And, that model of to serve and protect, the majority of the police officers in this country, believe it or not, do that. They serve and protect with honor. And it's the aberrations, it's the ones like, Chauvin and etc. They need to go. They need to get thrown in jail. They need to pay for their crimes. So anyways, no, I'm sorry. I'm preaching again. The wife.
That's okay.
I'm preaching to you.
Okay,
but yes.
So. I've known you for a long time. It's okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's just one problem that the elderly have. Right. Now we've got the pandemic going on. Right. And fortunately, I was working with the City of Seattle Central Area Senior Center and with my church and for my church and getting people vaccinated. And we got, I'd say 70% of our members vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal because our church is predominantly
African
seniors.
Yeah,
well, seniors. not only the race thing, but just they're seniors. And so and then speaking on the race thing, it was very difficult for a number of African Americans to get the vaccine.
Right.
So we were able to reach out with these partnerships and help people. But COVID, if you have any underlying conditions and you get COVID, it just really messes you up, so to speak.
Yes.
So if you're out there and you haven't received the vaccine and you do have an underlying condition, please, not only for your sake, but for those around you and the ones that love you, get vaccinated.
Right. I'm with the city. Now we're doing it at the SVI Center, the old SOIC SVI Center on Jackson, 22nd and Jackson. We partnered with I'm with the Central District Community Preservation Development Authority, created by, our 37th district rep, Sharon Tomiko Santos, etc.
Oh, right.
And we're going to use that for public, we're a public agency. We're going to use that for programs for the community. But we partnered with Country Doctor and Carolyn Downs to do vaccinations, and they're doing it. We've done over 2,000 every weekend for 4 or 5 hours a weekend, and we got over 2,500 or so. I mean, we're averaging about 500. And it's in the central area. It's in the community. And still 38 or 30% of African Americans, and when you look at the disparities across the country, African Americans and Latinos, Black and brown people still are at the lowest end in terms of the percentage getting vaccinated. In Atlanta, 1 in 10 vaccinations is an African American. The other 9 are whites, and they don't even live in Atlanta because Atlanta is 70% African American. So
right.
The more that your church, other churches that serve the communities of color can do, community organizations, get it out. Now anybody can just walk up. You don't have to go through that. And see, that's the other thing. With seniors, that's the problem we have with the census. They're not going to have smart tablets, smartphones, tablets, computers, laptops. They want a phone call or they want someone knocking on their door. Couldn't do that with COVID. So here we go. How do they get registered? Well, that's gone. So now they can just walk up. At the SBI Center, SOIC 22nd and Jackson, we have drive up and we have walk up. So we have both. Down at Lumen Field, which is the big one where I'm working with the city, you have to make an appointment still. But now now they're doing walk-ups. And so
you can go to Rainier Beach and then you can walk in.
Right, exactly, in West Seattle. But wherever we can do these things, and you would be in agreement, And the key point here is, if you use community organizations and use churches, these are trusted partners. So that's why it's key that you connected with your church. And Mount Zion, First AMA, all the churches that serve the communities.
Right.
These are very important places because they're trusted partners. And it's key. And it's the same theory that we used and the same proposition we use with census. We made presentations at your church because it's important. You are a trusted member of the community, and you've been very active in your church, and I need to start becoming regular in my attendance, but you make me feel guilty every time I look at you, but that's a fact, Brenda. So that's a good point that you're making. It's a very good point. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we will be opening back up again soon, but we are very serious about the virus. And so we're doing all we can to make sure everyone is safe when we do reopen, because it's nothing to play with. And we would hate to see any of our loved ones and any of our church family members get sick because they went to church. So we're really right on that. But I'd like to say that Rainier Avenue Radio is broadcasting Metro League boys and girls basketball. In fact, tonight at Roosevelt's at Rainier Beach tonight. The girls are at 5:45 and the boys are at 7:30. My guest, John Yasutake, host of Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. His show airs on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Right, John?
Yep, 6 p.m. right here on www.rainieravenueradio.world. Thank you.
He just couldn't help himself, folks. I'm sorry. So, John, we've talked a little bit about how we can support our elders, but what else do you think that we can do?
Well, there's always the issue of outreach. Most of the seniors, believe it or not, in this area are getting vaccinated or have been vaccinated. Most of the homes throughout the community have made it a point, because we know that that's the target. I mean, we're talking about in the state of Washington, in terms of deaths of 65 and older, the majority of the people who have died from COVID-19 have been seniors 65 and older. I mean, that's unfortunate. Some 3,000, almost 4,000 deaths of the 8,000 and 11,000, in other words, a significant percentage have been older persons. So that the key, the linchpin here is to get the seniors vaccinated. So they're at home, they've been vaccinated, I'm vaccinated. Hey, we could still do outreach to see how they're doing, because the problem we have still is that seniors as a group are isolated. Number one, because of the COVID, they're totally socially isolated. Right. And if they don't have access to all the media, like I said, smartphones, tablets, computers, and know how to work them, and I'm included in that group that has problems, you're going to be socially isolated. And what that does creates all kinds of issues of depression and thoughts of suicide, all of these things. And I'm not an expert, but having people on my show, shout out to Shalon Urban, Dr. Urban, she said this is just exacerbated by the fact that you're isolated because of this pandemic. It's opening up, but not real soon. And we still have to be cautious. And then the other thing is trusted partners. I'll open the door to a family member or a friend. But if you're somebody I don't know because of COVID and you're not wearing a mask, you think I'm going to open the door? I will talk to you through the little people I have on my, or I'll answer a phone call, or even now I can get an email. But there we go. If there are issues out there, because there are issues involving healthcare. There are issues involving mental health care that are still out there in our community affecting the seniors. And transportation, that's the other thing.
Yes.
I know Uber or Lyft, or one of the two, or maybe both of them, are saying, hey, we can give free rides to vaccine centers for seniors. Spike Lee.
I saw that with Lyft.
Lyft. And I think Spike Lee even does a commercial on that. And as I say, Spike Lee is really short. I met him. And he wears a hat because he's so. I just want to mention that, folks. I love him. He's a great guy, but man, he's short. Anyways, but there are services that are out there, and I know the city can give direction because the city has a site that people can contact. But again, if you don't have a smartphone, you don't have a tablet, you don't have a computer or laptop, how can you access that? So that's, again, here we go. It does take a community to support the effort to get the word out, because we still know that there are seniors out there that are totally isolated, totally isolated from, getting involved in the community or just getting a vaccine. And even though not large numbers have been protected, it's still, we have a ways to go. And when you talk about persons of color, that's even, a greater disparity. And, so that's my thoughts on that.
Well, I know, and as you were speaking, I was thinking the one thing that seniors can do among themselves, because they're isolated, is call someone, call a friend, call a church member, whatever, and just talk for a few minutes, and they will feel better. You will feel better. And then you may learn something that you didn't know before. It's all about communication, and we really have to communicate with our seniors.
Yep. And the other thing I should mention, for their own safety, there's safety in numbers. Do not go by yourself. Do not go by yourself. Take someone with you. You might have a dog. That dog ain't gonna, no, you need people to help. I mean, seriously, you need someone to go with you. And you may have another senior friend, but you need somebody that can actually be a deterrent. And all we're saying is just pay attention to the fact that, it's your surroundings. Don't go by yourself, and don't go in the evening. The daylight hours, don't go by yourself. And if you can at all help it, do not carry cash. I'm sorry. That's
not only that, as a woman, don't carry a large purse.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's going to be hard to keep hold of that when somebody's trying to yank it off of you.
Go ahead.
Well, my mom and I were talking this morning, and she was telling me about, she said, well, did you see, there was two Asian ladies that had been shopping, and they were putting their groceries or whatever in the back of the car, in the trunk.
Right.
And in the meantime, some guy comes around and opens up the passenger side door, and I don't know if he did the driver, but just passenger side, and he stole their purses.
Right.
Well, she told me that she heard that guy got caught.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I remember once having my car broken into at my home, and when I heard a knock at the door, and I go to the door, and it's the police, and I'm like, oh, what is going on? And he said, is that your car? And I said, yes. He goes, well, your neighbor across the street said that you needed to be notified because that's an important piece of you going to work. And I said, well, yeah, but I just feel violated now because someone has trashed my car looking for, and there was nothing inexpensive. In fact, this is how old this was. You remember the CD player?
Oh yeah.
I mean, not CD, the cassette player that went underneath the
8-track tape.
They stole that. I said, my goodness. But anyway, John, thank you. This has been great. This is Brenda Charles-Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. We're live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are your community radio station. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitch, Rainier Avenue Radio App. Thank you to my audience for listening.
Yep.
And John, you are my forever guest and friend.
All right.
Thank you again for coming on. Be safe and live your life like it's golden. The coronavirus special edition is next. Bye, John.
Thank you.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star